Now that the foundation is in, complete, ready to build on, I just wanted to take a minute and point out to you how this foundation is functioning as a system. We've identified that the footings are kind of like snowshoes. They're floating on the soil and they are calculated based on the bearing capacity of the soil. Now we've put a stem wall on these footings. The stem wall is functioning like a beam. Can you see that? That the strength of this stem wall is in this direction. And the interesting thing is that the taller a stem wall gets, the stronger it gets in this direction. Think of the difference in the strength between a 2x4 and a 2x12. The strength increases drastically as the height or the depth of the wall increases, much, much more than as the width increases. So this is not a typical stem wall foundation for Southern Oregon for a couple of reasons. First, it's taller than normal. We've made it taller than normal specifically to deal with any possible settlement issues. Let me talk about settlement for just a second, a couple of terms. There's something called initial settlement, and that is the settlement that you can't stop, that happens just within the top little bit of fluff that happens as you're setting the forms and as you're getting ready to go. There's a little bit at the top that has not remained as compacted as it was. And so when you pour something structural, that initial settlement's going to happen. And it's, 1%, 2%, a negligible amount. Differential settlement is when your soil behaves differently in different areas of the site. And we are taking care that that doesn't bother us here. That explains these two levels. You see that? The back part of this lot, the shorter part of the stem wall, is on really hard ground. Back in that corner, it's really hard. The shale is right there. The shale is down maybe a foot right here. And so this wall back here is going to settle effectively zero. As we come out to the front, this is fill, and it's been compacted, and we've spent a great deal of effort making sure we're down far enough and we've hit it hard enough that it's nice and hard, but it's still on fill. And so it's possible that over time there would be a little more settlement here. Now we've dealt with that with the footing size and tying the house to the piers out front, several things we've done to increase the size of the snowshoe, but the real thing that we've done is increase the depth of the beam. So the net effect of a taller stem wall on this downhill side of the lot is that if there is a portion or a spot or an area that does settle a little more than some other area of the house, this beam is going to take it and will effectively span any localized issues that might show up at one point or another. The next thing is these 4 concrete columns out in the front. You may have noticed that the footings ran continuously from the house straight out to receive those columns. On the plan, Dave just had those columns on their own individual little spread footing, and structurally with the soil bearing capacities, that was fine. But I thought, you know what, I don't mind buying 2 or 3 more yards of concrete. I want to tie those footings back to the house. So if anything does happen around the way of settlement out there, it's tied to the house, and you're not going to have one column rotating and getting out of line. So it was money well spent on the footing. And I want to sort of acknowledge that I didn't get the footage of pouring those columns, but I used a 12-inch sonotube form. Sonotubes are a great, fast, dependable, low-cost way to form and pour a concrete column. So we've got another video of doing that. We've got a nice little rebar section inside of there that Dave was very happy with. And so I think what we have now, prior to the backfill, prior to the framing, is just a real coherent system that's going to hold this thing up for a long, long time. The last part of this foundation system that I want to mention are these 2 strip footings. They are not beams, okay? They are just a footing. They're just a snowshoe. They're just distributing the load onto the grade. And the reason for that is because there's going to be a pony wall, pressure-treated mud sill, cripple studs, short studs on 16-inch centers, top plates that will be supporting the bottom of the TJIs, the joists, that will be spanning across the house. These strip footings are just breaking up the span on the TJIs so that the spans are short, so that the floor is stiff, so there's no springiness, okay? So let me tell you what, right now I would much rather have a tooth pulled without the benefit of Novocaine than confess what I'm about to confess to you. But in laying out these footings, I was obsessed, and I did a lot of bragging about getting the locations on the perimeter to within a small amount, and they are. The boundary, the dimensions, the angle, the height, all of it is perfect, because boy did I check it. But I didn't check this much. And so as it turns out, that end of this strip footing is a few inches off. It's a few inches in the wrong place. There, I said it. The reason that I am not concerned about the end of this footing being a few inches in the wrong place is because all of the spans on the TJIs for the entire structure are still well underneath the allowable span. No one will ever know except you and me. So these things happen. I got lucky. I don't have to tear anything out. It's going to work fine. I don't know what else to say other than that, except, you know, hey, every once in a while even a monkey will fall out of a tree.